Where do I take it now?
I mean,
I'll go this one.
Go
You wanted to say something.
I just can't handle it. You started the episode like this. You can't say anything positive ever again about CS, right? It's okay. I want to see if that's like the number one take. I'd love to know, like, I just want to know what goes on the cutting room floor, as it were, Maui of Kassan sticks. Like, what take doesn't make the cut? That's what I'd love to know. I'd love to, someone should, by the way, if this was Flashpoint, we would just do a whole skit of like how Kassan comes up with his takes or something, and it'd be like some ridiculous SNL level skit or something. So come on, when you get it, go there, Kassan. What's your second take of the show? Hit me with it. Come on.
Astralis again will miss the major.
Is that even a hot take at this point in time? I guess in theory, in theory it is. They did sign like a big name, KD and all that jazz. That's true. That's true. Okay.
But my reasoning was like, the current form, obviously.
Yeah.
And when you look at their, remember what happened in the last major, the 9 pandas, the fucking last chance qualifier or second chance, whatever the fuck they call it. Like, guess who are they facing in the first round in the best of 1? 9 pandas. And not just that, like if you look at now on the RMRs, there is 7 spots. There is no more 8 spots thanks to America, right? Last major. Now we have 7 spots, which means that like teams with 3-2 will have to fight each other for that final, right? Because we have 2-3-0 teams, 3-3-1 teams, and then 3-3-2 teams, right? So one of them will not be in. Basically, what I'm trying to say in this group that they are in is G2, is Spirit, Eternal Fire, Virtus Pro, Heroic, 3D Max, and then we have, this is the fun part, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams from the CIS region, and you know how they play when they face CIS teams. They don't have a good track record. On top of that, it's a best of 1. And on top of that, Big is in their group, who is playing well right now. At least they're in some sort of a form. And this Danish team called Sashi, who has some LAN experience, who can surprise in a best of 1, right? It's Danish team again against Danish Astralis. And there is a lot of pressure on Astralis right now, because I know how things work in these teams. The honeymoon after, when, well, I can call it a honeymoon. When Cadian came back, they probably like, hey, maybe this could work, everything is fine. Let's sweep it under the rug, like the shit that happened. Maybe like, it will stay there, it will play well, but it didn't play well. And then these problems that were here before are going to start creeping up on you. The cracks are going to be like showing, the leaks are going to be there. The little annoying things that used to annoy you before about certain players will show up there, and they will go and multiply and multiply and multiply, and it will reflect the game, and it will be a tremendous pressure on every single player to perform. And we know that Astralis didn't play for the last, 4 majors. They were not on a single one, if I remember correctly. Now it's even tougher to get in, considering the group and the fact that it's 7 and not 8 spots there. And their group is the harder one, considering all the teams. If you look at it, the only teams that I can kind of write off is maybe Parivision or TSM. And then I guess NIP, which can still maybe beat someone in a best of 1. But that's it, right? And there is a bunch of these CIS, Russian, Ukrainian teams that can surprise anybody in a best of 1. We've seen that for the past 10 years, and it will happen again. So the odds are strongly against Astralis, and I think they're making it. Boom.
I mean, their results have been pretty bad. I don't think that they've gelled yet as a team. I feel like Cadian doesn't know how to rifle on a roster. I feel like he's still figuring it out himself. I feel like Device also is just kind of like up and down with this team. I think the only person that seemingly benefited from this was Stown. Like, I think Stown is probably quite smart for actually bringing Cadian back, because he was actually able to improve, because he probably fit the system better than anybody. I mean, he played with Cadian longer than any of these guys did. I mean, people remember, obviously, Yabby and Stown played with Cadian, but it was Stown that was actually like through the trenches in like, 2020, maybe even 2019, playing with Cadian there. I'd have to look up the exact date, but he probably has like 2-3 years on everybody, and so he looks more comfortable. I'm not actually 100% sure that the stats reflect that, but at least to me, via watching, I've always felt like, okay, I think Stown's actually getting his groove back a bit with this team now. Are they going to make it? I think some of the teams that squeak through in the RMR closed qualifier are entirely fraudulent. Like, I don't know what happened to get some of these teams in here. Like, I know it's kind of funny. I think people were sort of celebrating the fact that a handful of majority Czech teams made it through, and like 3 of them are playing through the European RMR A, but like I truly don't have faith in any of them at all. Like Sinners, Dynamo, and Unity. I don't mean to make enemies out of these teams, but like what have they proven to me? Like they've proven absolutely nothing. And so I'm not too sure of them. Rebels as well. Like there's a handful of teams that I think are pretty bad compared to Astralis just on like name value alone. Although I will say I think that actually Astralis are in the RMR that's a little bit more like it gathers more in the center, like it's a little bit top heavy with like G2 and Spirit. But then some of the other teams that are behind them, like Paravision, Passion UA, Aurora, Bait, all of those could beat Astralis. Like legitimately all of them could beat them. So I don't think it's a bad take. I don't think it's a terrible take.
Here's the thing. I guess, like I say, for fans, it probably will be a hot take because they just look at the names and go like, surely they'll get it together and Cadian and Stout and Device will all be best pals. So I guess in that sense, it is a hot take. I will say it is also a hot take in the sense I actually think that of the two RMRs, I think they're the harder one, to be honest. Like, even though, as you say, there's maybe upset potential, the difference is there's like a lot of big names in the other RMR. Like a lot of maybe only the top 8 are going to make it out. So I don't know. I think it's touch and go. I could see a world where both happen. I could see them making it. I could also see them not making it.
Top seven.
Yeah. I still think theirs is touch and go though, because you look in theirs, like it's not even guaranteed, by the way, that some of these other teams make it. Like maybe fucking Eternal Fire fucks up, maybe Hero can fuck up. On paper, no, but you know.
The RMRs are so weird because RMR A really feels like luck of the draw. Like if you're able to dodge the heavy hitters in that one, like Na'Vi, Vitality, Maus, FaZe, like you're in a really good position. But if you run into two of them, you're fucked. But if you actually in the other one, there's only really two teams you really have to avoid in G2 and Spirit, or at least you would think that. But then it's less top heavy, but it just spreads out a lot more evenly distributed.
No, sure. I think it's plausible. I think it's actually, I don't know how spicy a hot take is. Maybe it's just not as much of a hot take to us, but I think to fans it will be.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.